visionary, revolutionary. I'm a visionary, revolutionary.
Hello everyone, it's Carmella Salamander and I'm here with KB the Mark.
Because I'm a fucking mark for this shit.
And today we are coming together to talk about some wrestling news. Now before we get started, let's take some time and have a moment of silence for Scott Hall. Condolences to his family. A legend gone way too soon. So without further ado, let's jump into the news. Now, with Raw coming on yesterday, we have a lot of news that was hinted during the show. Now, the first story of the day, we got WWE. They apparently wanting fans to know that Cody Rhodes is coming soon. So, WWE is making it very clear to fans that Cody Rhodes is expecting to return very soon. And it looks like they are on a new talking page out of AEW's playbook. Prior to CM Punk's AEW debut, there was teasers on the television show. And there was also teasers before Jeff Hardy made his debut too. So that's the page that they're taking out of AEW book. It's basically teasing. Well, not really a tease. It's basically telling you flat out who is going to come. So, what do you think about this strategy? On Monday Night Raw, it was addition to Corey Graves. He said his comments about Seth Rollins. He said WrestleMania host being dashed, quote unquote, and his dreams becoming a nightmare. Just little shit like that. That kind of saying that Cody Rhodes is coming to WWE.
I thought AEW wasn't competition.
I thought so too, but I mean, it's WWE. They just want to shit on all competition.
I thought AEW wasn't competition. I mean, what better way? This is how something is telling me, bro, that Tony Khan and Vince McMahon, they're in talks. They're going to do something huge in about a couple of years, because this is just proof. Because we know how Vince McMahon is. We know how WWE is. This would have been such WWE saying, hey, Tony Khan, we got one of your former EVPs. And guess what? We in your backyard. And we're going to debut in here. Big fuck you to AEW. But nah, they want to wait on it. And in a sense, I like that. But this is kind of weird to me. It makes me seem like they're in communication somehow. Like they're working the fans, both of them together collectively. They're working the fans.
I told you, I think it's a word. I've been saying that. But word on the street is, if he do come to WWE, they are currently looking at Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes match at WrestleMania.
And it'll be 5 stars.
The first 5-star WWE main roster match since 2011. Wow.
Quit hating on Dave Meltzer. For a guy who you says that's his opinion, you sure do love talking about it.
It's an opinion.
Then don't bring it up. It's just an opinion. It's okay.
Moving on to the next story, we got WWE. They is teasing the breakup of a tag team on Monday Night Raw. Now, from the looks of it, it looks like another tag team will be splitting up soon. I'm not sure why the fuck would you split up another tag team when y'all really got teams as it is. Now, WWE is building towards a breakup between the women tag team champions Queen Zelena and Carmella, less than 4 months since they had won the titles. During Monday Night Raw, Zelena had lost to Liv Morgan after her distraction finished when Zelena had looked down at ringside to see Carmella running away from Rhea Ripley into the arms of Corey Graves. Now, prior to the match, Zelena, she told Carmella that she needed to start worrying more about her and what they do in the ring and less about her YouTube reality show. The opposite happened this week, and Zelena, she was clearly upset. Now, what do you think about this tease breakup? Do you think they need to be breaking up anymore, women teams and shit? Like, they barely don't got no teams, and like they got teams that they putting together, but like a real established team that's an actual tag team they don't have. So they don't even have no teams right now. So that's like a bad call on my end. That I think.
I don't think
they just they way to try to get Carmella or Corey Graves too on WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they own WrestleMania for defending their titles, but like that it's a moment they're looking for. That's why I feel like it's a moment they're trying to make out of Corey Graves and Carmella, and they want it to happen on WrestleMania. So I think that's what this is basically for. Like, one, they might lose their titles, and like two, they're gonna do something that's gonna revolve again with Carmella and Corey Graves. That's why I think they're trying to set up.
It's not a bad move. I mean, it's Queen Zelena and Carmella. I would much rather see Carmella and Corey Graves by themselves than see Carmella with Zelena Vega. I think Zelena Vega would make an excellent challenger to a B-level pay-per-view for the Raw Women's Champion.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then you could always, like I said, Corey Graves and Carmella, they can always go off and do their own things. I can honestly see them turning babyface and going against The Miz and Maurice.
Moving on to the next story, we got Edge. He debuted new entrance music during Monday Night Raw. Now, WWE Raw superstar Edge, he has a new theme. WWE Hall of Famer, he went out to the ring this week and to excuse me, I'm gonna start over. WWE Raw superstar Edge had a new theme song this week. The WWE Hall of Famer will go out to the ring to The Other Side by Alton Bridge. Now, this is the same band that did his previous song, that Mac Marvelous song. But Edge, he explained that he doesn't want to be judged by the fans, and he realized that the previous version of himself was a weak person. And now that he knows that he's better than everyone, Edge, he said that if AJ Styles make it to WrestleMania, then he will be judged. So Edge is heel. He changed his music because he's heel. At least it's done by the same band that did his last song. But god damn, I don't know. This may not be the ultimate opportunist though. This is a different Edge. This is a new edgy Edge. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, so when we first got Edge, boom, it seemed like we getting 3 stages of Edge, right? 4 stages of Edge, you could say. We got Brood Edge, then we got the Rated R Superstar Edge, and then we had got the Ultimate Opportunist Edge, and now we getting this edgy Edge. What do you think about this?
Imagine going back to 2006 and sitting down with 2006 Edge and saying, Edge, there will come a point in time to where your Ultimate Opportunist character will be the babyface character of your latest run. And that's crazy because as the Ultimate Opportunist, he didn't get a title, which normally he has done. So now to get this darker Edge with this darker theme, I love it.
You say he didn't get the title as the Ultimate Opportunist?
Not in his latest run.
Yeah, not this run he didn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
In this latest run, he didn't. So that just adds to the babyface character even more. I mean, to the heel character even more. But that's just crazy to sit here and think about. Like, he came back, he was Edge, the Rated R Superstar, the Ultimate Opportunist. And now that's like, that was babyface Edge. Imagine saying in 2006, Edge, your babyface run and your next run will be, it's going to be your babyface side, and you come out with this darker, more disturbing heel character. And now looking on it, I love it. I don't like the lighting. I wish they would change the lighting. Mm-hmm. But ultimately the character and how WWE is presenting him, I don't know. I mean, I remember I said Randy Orton, when he turns on Riddle, he'll be the #1 top heel in WWE. But with this Edge, and if this Edge character plays out the way that most of us think it should, where he's just a killer and he pretty much takes what he wants and he sort of gets that Roman Reigns type of push, what babyface do you send in there? It's got to be AJ. It just backs up the point that we made. You know?
Mm-hmm.
He's got to beat AJ Styles, go on some type of historic run with the WWE Championship, and AJ has to beat him at next year's WrestleMania.
If he don't, I know who would be the person to beat him. That would be an awesome 5-star match caliber.
Hey, I swear to goodness. Are you about to say the Almighty?
Oh.
Okay, who?
It's a small guy.
Who?
Finn Balor. They continue to push Finn Balor how he is with the United States title. If Edge gain the WWE title and then go on the Marvelous run and then they meet up next year at the WrestleMania, or even if Finn Balor win the Royal Rumble and then he challenged Edge and then he bring back the Demon character at WrestleMania, and that'd be the only person that can, with this Edge, only person that can, go head to head with him will be the Demon. But then the storyline would be like Edge is like, you will know it's coming back, but they will play the storyline some way because the last time we seen him was when he ran up with Roman Reigns with the Demon character. But how that Demon character, like you could kind of tell how the Avengers Endgame was, where Hulk got beat up so bad by Thanos, Hulk refused to come out. Some shit like that. Like he got beat up so bad by Roman Reigns, the Demon character refused to come out. But Edge pushed him to that point where he couldn't take it no more, and then he finally came out. Boom. And then you can wrap that back around Survivor Series, play that shit again with him and Roman if Roman's still the champion. And then you have him bring back the Demon character, and then Finn Balor will go over. This time at Survivor Series, but it won't be for the title, it'll be champion versus champion. Raw versus SmackDown.
But see, in order to get that match, then Finn Balor are you talking like after Finn Balor beats Edge at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Okay.
That he beat the WWE title, then he hold it. Survivor Series come around. That's what you could swing back around and finish the story with Roman. That he had him come back out as a Demon character at Survivor Series representing Raw, face Roman, and then this time he beat him as a Demon. That shit. And then it's like he get his revenge at the end.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. See, I can tell stories. You feel me? See, that's why I date. That's why Tony Khan need to book me. Let me run Rampage.
Tony Khan is doing just fine.
I'll make that show as popular as Dynamite.
It's already as popular as Dynamite. Just don't nobody want to watch it at 10 p.m.
See, I'll move it to 1.
In the morning?
Nah, p.m. No, I'm just playing. Make it like some midday shit. Well, I know everybody at home. Moving on to our next story, we got WWE SmackDown. This past SmackDown, they ratings dip from last week. The latest edition of WWE Friday Night SmackDown has saw the ratings drop. The show had averaged of 2.226 million viewers on Fox, versus down from the 2.261 million viewers a week ago. Now, in the all-important 18 to 49 demographics, the show did a 0.57 rating, and that's down for the 0.59 rating a week ago. Now, what do you think about this? Are you nervous? Do you think SmackDown is dipping, or do you just think it's just the rocky shit? It's just on the rocky slope. It go up one week, down one week, up the next, up, down the next. Or do you think it's because of what they haven't booked, where they announce what the matches is for the next week and we not into that shit, so we don't tune in? Or it's the shit where they announce some good shit, we tune in? Or is it when they tell us Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar is going to be on the show like they was, we going to watch?
You just said a whole bunch of shit.
Last week, I think it did that much because Brock Lesnar was advertised. This week we knew, didn't the March 11th version, didn't he chase Paul Heyman?
Yes.
Yeah. So was he advertised for that week?
I think so.
Popped up.
I think he was advertised.
Well, shit, I don't know. But either way it goes, Friday SmackDown, they be on the rocky slope. 1 week they do up, 1 week they do down. The next week they go back up. The next week they go down. What do you think will help keep a consistent increase? Do you think it's promotion, the matches that they book and tell us the week before, or during the current week before Friday get here, that helps bring in the viewers? Or do you think it's the inclusion of promoting Roman and or Brock on the show that brings in viewers?
Salamander, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I've been over here just thinking, and I come to the realization that ratings on both sides are overrated and overvalued, because people are going to tune in to whatever the fuck they want to watch, and if they don't want to watch it, they're not going to tune in. So it'll fluctuate. I mean, we saw it. Raw was constantly dipping. Now it seems like it's going up. Dynamite hit 1 million, then it hit 900s, then it'll hit 900 again, then it'll hit 1 million, and I'm just like, as long as you got a nice little range for yourself and you're hitting that range, then that's fine. It's when you start to dip completely under your range that's a problem. Like Raw's been in the 1.7s, 1.6s. That's high for them. All right. SmackDown's been in the 2.2s. And you know, that I feel like that's kind of low for what Fox wants. I think Fox wanted 3, but if you're getting 6, I'll take 66% of that. If you can't give me 3, but you can give me 2.2, I'll take that.
You know, I agree with you to a point too, because you got to think about too, the whole world is different now. There's streaming and all that stuff too. So for it to be on TV, doing anything above 1 million is good. If you can bring in a consistent over 1 million viewers consistently during this time where we got smartphones and you can stream everything and all that shit, and you bring in a consistent 1 million viewers weekly, I think that's a good thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like I know people want Dynamite to be in the millions. I get it. It's from the growth that I've seen over 3 years. I'm okay with them flirting with the million. Now it's when we get to year 5 and you're not hitting 1 million consistently. Now we've got an issue. But I say 3 years in and you're flowing from anywhere from the low end of 800,000 to the high end of 1 million, and you're at 970,000 to typically 1 million. Or I won't even say 940,000 to 1 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in, I feel like you're there. That extra 30,000 is just going to come from the people who watch but don't want to watch this week.
Right.
And we, you know, you can't give the fans everything they want. Everything has to happen, and it has to happen naturally. So guess what? A lot of people are going to look at the card. I don't feel like watching Dynamite. I don't feel like watching Raw. I don't feel like watching SmackDown. You know, it's going to happen. But as long as you're within a range that you're comfortable with, and you know, you're good.
So, moving on to our next story. Now, this is deep because we did touch up on this before when we had our special guest B Rags on the podcast. Big E neck injury could be a career-ending injury, according to a former WWE and NFL doctor. Now, there's still no official timetable on how long it will take for Big E neck to heal, but he won't need surgery as he reported. But according to the doctor, his C1 and C6 was fractured, and this could mean that his career could be over. What do you think about this devastating news that we just reported on?
You just hope and you pray that it's not. But if it is, at least he won the WWE Championship.
Yeah, but where did he go from here?
He could always be the New Day's mouthpiece. It'll just be Xavier and Kofi. And hopefully with time, he can be able to come back and do wrestling in some capacity. And he's still relatively young. I mean, Edge came back. Bryan Danielson came back. Who's to say he just doesn't take, an extended break? 5, 10. Come back probably.
Michaels came back from that back injury that was supposed to end his career.
Right.
He came back after 7 years.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Biggie might just need an extended vacation. Let him fully heal, recuperate. And if he can go and he has the heart and the desire and he's not going to injure himself any further, yeah.
Well,
but it's just...
he's not going to injure himself any further. Well, that wasn't on him.
I mean, we already discussed that. I'm sorry, I chose my words wrong. Just, we don't want him to hurt himself any more than what he's already hurt if he wants to wrestle later on.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on to our next story, we got the backstage news on WWE's strategy to build the NXT 2.0 brand. WWE has sent main roster stars to NXT to work on feuds with top prospects over the last several weeks. That will be a continued trend going forward. WWE announced that during Monday night episode of Raw that Miz will have newly crowned NXT champion Dolph Ziggler as his guest on Miz TV. Dave Meltzer, he noted in today's Wrestling Observer Radio that the strategy behind having a Raw stars appear on NXT 2.0 and the talent from developmental brand to appear on Raw is to help build up the NXT 2.0 stars. AJ Styles had previously appeared on the show if Dolph Ziggler is the current NXT champion. Although they didn't do an angle on Raw this week, they still advertised Miz's segment on Monday Night Raw. So, with this information going forward, do you still think that this is a good idea for Raw, well, for WWE to use Raw stars to build NXT viewership?
I can do you one better. I have a conspiracy theory. What if WWE thinks their roster is getting kind of bloated and they have NXT 2.0 for making new stars? You notice the people they sent down there: AJ Styles, The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode.
Because all the stars they let go, so they're trying to build new stars.
And they're going to send those old mid-card guard down there.
So they switch it. Building them new stars. The new stars in NXT going to go on Raw. And then, like, the old stars is going to go to NXT, just run that shit.
Yep.
I always say the thing to get NXT going up, if y'all trying to bring in viewership, do another draft, make NXT stars be able to draft main roster talent, and make main roster talent be able to draft NXT stars and build it as a third brand. I mean, that's all y'all gotta do.
They don't want to be great, but now they see it. Triple H was trying to do shit like this when he was running it.
They had a good idea, like for it to be NXT when they had like, you do another draft, NXT have 5 picks out of, and the Raw SmackDown have their known picks, so they can have 5 potential picks to draft, and then so they can have 5 picks, but also at the same time, Raw SmackDown can draft an NXT star. So, like, let's say how they drafted Charlotte Flair, boom. Then they go ahead and draft AJ Styles, boom. Then they can go ahead and draft somebody else. But meanwhile, MSK got drafted. They probably on Raw. Braun Breaker got drafted. Like some of their stars got drafted. Then you also bringing some stars there that's still bringing the star power in the viewership still. Make it as a third brand or whatever. You got these stars, make them legends, they veterans. Put over the next one. Teach them some shit. They could teach them, with them being young, y'all being, veterans. They could teach y'all some shit, because this, y'all can always learn from the young guys. And then at the same time, while you learning from the young guys, you teaching them some veteran shit too. It could work either way. I just don't agree with the shit that they're doing. If they're gonna bring in the main roster talent onto NXT and you're gonna put an NXT, which is basically the development title on a main roster star, you might as well make it your third brand. Because even though if Dolph Ziggler won the NXT championship, why the fuck I want this shit? I've been United States champion. I've been Intercontinental champion, tag team champion. I damn near touched. No, he did. He became WWE champion, didn't he? A World Heavyweight champion.
Yep, World Heavyweight champion when he cashed in.
He was World Heavyweight champion. You did all that shit without a development brand. Well, FCW, but it wasn't on TV. Like basically, NXT is a development brand. So you did all that shit without a development brand. Then you just go back to development, run that main title. Why the fuck do I want this shit? That's like you being on the fucking Warriors and they send you to their G League team and you won the title there and you want to celebrate. Like, no, this ain't no NBA. No, I've been up here with the big dogs. I accomplished all this shit. Why the fuck do I want to accomplish some D League shit?
Look at the names that have held the NXT championship. Seth Rollins. Wasn't Big E Langston?
Yeah, but he would just think about it.
Adam Cole. I mean, just listen. Adam
brought in Big E to the main roster. He introduced Big E to all of us. Dolph Ziggler been here. Dolph Ziggler been a name before we even knew of Seth Rollins and the Adam Cole and shit like that. So even though stars touched that belt, he was already a star before they even considered NXT. So that's why I'm saying, why would you want to? It's backtracking.
It ain't backtracking. The NXT championship has such prestige. That's a prestigious belt. Why not add another
developmental belt?
That is a main show's championship. That's another world champion.
Development brand at the end of the day.
That's another world championship to his belt. It can't be developmental too much. They got Dolph Ziggler down there.
And that just shows what they think about him.
You just love to hate on NXT 2.0. You just don't want to give it credit, bro. It's a good show.
If it's developmental, keep it developmental. The way that Triple H had it was perfect.
Listen, even I, a wrestling mark, was shocked when Dolph Ziggler pulled off the 3.
I expect them to. You main roster talent. Now, if you getting beat by developmental, you deserve to be there. Now, if you supposed to go through if you being a main roster talent, I'm expecting you to go through a gauntlet match. And you should be able to defeat all of them, come out the top. You main roster talent. There's a reason why they got NXT developmental, why they get caught up, and the reason why y'all sign contract. It's a reason why they get caught up and y'all get drafted. It's a reason. So I expect for you to win that shit. Once they announced that he was competing for the belt, I expect for him to win.
You just don't want to give NXT 2.0 no type of credit. It's the NXT championship. It's a prestigious belt. Dolph Ziggler just added his name to it.
I don't know. I think it's backtracking. But we are moving on to the last WWE story. Now, Jeff Cobb, he said creative freedom is more important than money, or he would have signed to WWE. That's it. What do you think about that?
Love it. Love it. You know why? Because it's everything. It's an outsider solidifying what everybody else thinks. Sometimes your creative freedom has to be more than the millions of dollars they're throwing at you.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you're taking this because, hey, you work the indies and this is a shot for you to secure a lifestyle for your family, go for it. But if that's not what you're doing and you're just like, yeah, I'm willing to give up my creative freedom for a couple mil, I can't get behind that. We've seen what the Fed can do. We've seen what the Fed can do.
What if it's like a AJ Styles situation? Like, you did everything on the indies, you made a name for yourself, people know who you are and stuff like that. So now you at the point of your career where you did everything, so you about to make the most money you ever made in your whole career of wrestling. So yeah, I'll take a dip in my creative for me to make, $5 million a year, $3 million a year, $2 million a year.
I mean, yeah, if you're doing it for the security of your family, yeah. But if it's just you out there, and you're trying to go to that next level, you don't have to go through WWE. I feel like my creative freedom and just me being able to pitch ideas and knowing they will at least be brought up, that's more important to me than millions of dollars.
Okay, I can respect that.
But that is it. We are jumping into the AEW news now. Story number one, Lindsay Dorado explains why he doesn't want Cesaro in AEW. Stories coming from WrestlingInc.com.
Too many WWE guys. Basically. I told you. And he got some nerves.
You're a hater.
Is he with AEW?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say he got some nerve. If he with AEW, talk about that like you were just with WWE. Yeah. But go ahead. You could say what he had to say.
Former WWE star Lindsay Dorado joined the oral sessions with Renee Paquette to talk about his wrestling career all the way from the start until now. He admitted he got into wrestling through WWE, but he revealed that he broke into wrestling after attending a CZW match at the age of 16. In particular, a match between Ruckus and Claudio Castagnoli, best known in WWE as Cesaro, really inspired him. He says this about Cesaro: he'll go anywhere and become the guy, but there will always be somebody saying, well, he didn't do it in WWE. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It depends on how he feels.
He ain't doing WWE. I think he's taking a shot at me.
But can I finish? Can I finish?
Go ahead.
It depends on how he feels, and him leaving tells me he's leaving for himself. So no matter what he does, he's going to be happy with it. Any company would benefit from Claudio, whether it's a wrestling role, a teaching role, anything. That dude gets it 110%. If it was me though, I would love to see Claudio kill it in New Japan or Impact. And the only reason I say that is there's no difference for him in AEW. I feel like not that he would be in the same spot, but I think he doesn't benefit AEW and AEW doesn't benefit him at this moment. Well, we did say New Japan or Impact if he wasn't going to go to AEW.
Yeah, I'd say if he a top main card talent in WWE, especially in Impact, he would be a main card talent. He should be able to be the face. That's just it.
I would love to see him in the Impact World Championship run. See him take it off Josh Alexander after Josh Alexander loses his mind. But that'll be like 10 months down the line after he takes it from Moose. But I like everything that Lindsay Dorado said, especially the people like you who will say, but he didn't do that in WWE. Like WWE wasn't killing his career and cutting and taking the rug from underneath him continuously. You just said it. The last week. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little hostile. Let me take this back. You said this just the other week when you said they didn't see what we saw as fans in Cesaro. So how you gonna sit there and be like, but he didn't do that in WWE?
No, I'm saying that's what I say all the time. I'm not saying because in WWE what he did in WWE was he did enough. But what I'm saying is, but that quote what he said, I was like, that sounds just like me with some shit that I would say. Like it don't matter, he ain't doing WWE.
Bruh, like
funny.
Like I don't know. I do. I mean, could you really ask the question? Could Cesaro have done more? Is that a question? Is that a valid question?
To me, I think Cesaro ring work is good, right?
Right.
But his character was boring. That's what I would say. His in work was good, but I just think WWE didn't put the right character on him.
What would be the right character?
I don't know. But we don't know because they never even attempt to change his character. I think after the bar broke up, they went their separate ways again. That was your chance to change to give him a new gimmick. I just think that Switch Cyborg shit ran his course was old. He was there ever since he got caught up.
They never gave him a shot at the world title either.
I mean, if you think about it, he did when he faced Roman Reigns. So,
I mean, but they weren't that's just a challenger.
It means
he wasn't really. He really wasn't considered.
Roman Reigns could have hurt himself in the match, and they could have pulled the switch. Like, all right, fuck it.
Unless Roman tore his MCL, ACL, or Achilles, I don't think they pulling. I don't think they pulling the switch unless he just physically can't go.
Never know. Or what if he knocked himself out? That could happen. You hit your head too hard on the mat. Anything could have been wrong.
He could have. They would have had Cesaro is so good. I believe they would have had him fake it. He would have threw Roman into the corner, took him up top. He would have won like he was going to do a fall away slam, but he would have fell back. It made it look like Roman adjusted.
I don't know. Maybe.
Number 2, Eric Bischoff does not see basic storytelling in AEW. He says, I see it in WWE. This is coming from WrestlingInc.com. During the latest episode of the 83 Weeks podcast, Eric Bischoff spoke about topics that included Braun Breaker losing his NXT championship to Dolph Ziggler and why Cody Rhodes should go to WWE over AEW. Numerous times, Eric Bischoff has criticized AEW for their lack of storytelling, and even back in October, saying that CM Punk has shit the bed since coming to the company. He says this, and I quote, "You could take WWE's existing roster, bring it over to AEW, and nothing is going to happen. It's story. And first of all, you had to have a basic understanding of how to tell a story, and I don't see it. I see it in WWE, and I don't see it in AEW. I don't agree with that. I believe AEW does storytelling way better than WWE at this moment. But what do you think?"
I agree with you. I'm on record saying at this point in time in wrestling, AEW is killing it with storytelling. Don't get me wrong. I think he's just trying to get back on the good side of them. Probably trying to get a little roll back, get Harry back.
You think so?
Yeah, this ain't the first time. Like a couple weeks ago, he said something about AEW that he didn't agree with, that WWE do better than. And that's how I see it. You know, he got let go not too long ago. He's supposed to go be on the producer role for SmackDown, but they gave the Bruce Pritchard. I think he's just trying to get back on the good side so he get back in some type of role.
I mean, I just don't understand. Like I made the comparisons here in the last week or two about the RK Bro story being up there with the CM Punk and MJF, and even the Roman Reigns head of the table, which a lot of people think is gone stale. But outside of those two stories, what other stories do they have? You're doing two stories that involves two celebrities.
I like the Roman story because even though like Roman Reigns' character right now, it was like, all right, he basically took SmackDown, took his family, got them in line. He got the whole locker room in line basically. But then you also gonna have some people who's not scared of Roman. So I like his whole thing. Like basically, I'm about to beat your ass. I'm gonna get you to acknowledge me. That's his thing. Like he keeps saying, acknowledge me. Like I like that. So I think him doing that shit, I think that's good. Like so the next person that you will probably do after Brock, will probably be you run that Bobby Lashley shit again. Cause I don't think they actually had a proper one. And stuff where he would say Bobby Lashley acknowledge me. Shit like that. That'd be good. Or motherfucking who else will possibly take that? I don't think there is a person. Real. I
don't think he's gonna hold the WWE Championship. I think he's gonna come out and vacate it the following Monday. Because that's not the belt that defines his legacy. It's the Universal, and I think
What
Cody.
if he have an open challenge and Bobby Lashley answered a returning Bobby? That's how they put the belt back on Bobby. Like, you know, he like come out, basically shit on Raw, just be like, you know, I don't think none of y'all can actually, you know, be in the same, is worthy enough to be in the same ring as a tribal chief. So I'm gonna hold an open challenge. You pull a chair out or some shit like that, say in the middle of the ring or whatever. Wait for a minute. See if somebody have the courage enough to come out. Somebody come out and stuff. Their music hit, and then once they about to hit the ramp, their music stop, and then you hear Bobby Lashley music come, and he coming out. He's sending a dude in the back like, "Get your ass back there." Some shit, and he just go out there.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's. I like your idea. What if it's Cody Rhodes? What if Cody Rhodes beats Seth Rollins night 2, then challenges Roman Reigns Monday, and 2 days within the company, he's the new WWE champion, running the flagship show.
Until he dropped it, and after that, we ain't gonna see him no more. Here we go, Stardust.
How long would he hold it?
I don't know, but whenever he dropped it, he'll be back Stardust. WWE is probably giving him a push, but it's not gonna be what we think. I think after that push, if Cody Rhodes come to WWE, he's getting a push. We already know that. What matters is what happens after his push.
If I was Cody Rhodes, I'm signing a year-long deal.
Then the push gonna be 3 months, and then
That's
the last 9, you Stardust.
I just couldn't see myself committing like to any more than 2 years with the WWE.
It don't matter. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he gonna get a push, but after his push, that's what matters, because that's what's gonna make or break him. He gonna be back Stardust. They're gonna put him in bullshit after his push. They gonna live at their end of the contract and get you a push. Now this is what you about to do.
All right. Story number 3. AEW Revolution did more pay-per-view buys than initially believed. This is coming from WrestlingNews.co. More numbers continue to come in regarding the pay-per-view buy rate for this year's AEW Revolution, as the early estimates showed it did between 146,000 and 170,000 pay-per-view buys. These numbers were from Bleach Report and Fight. Dave Meltzer reported on today's Wrestling Observer Radio that the show now looks to do between 165,000 and 170,000 buys, which is 14% higher than their early estimate. He wants to say really big late buy, so the number that we talked about last week is probably very low compared to what the real number is going to be. What I have seen of the systems that I have actual numbers for is that it's up 14% from the last time I talked about it, which is pretty big up. So a lot of people are saying that it's going to be around 165-ish, 170-ish. Last year's did 135. AEW's biggest pay-per-view did over 200,000, which was last year's All Out. I'm thinking Revolution might be their big 2. One of the big 2, All Out and Revolution, or maybe Double or Nothing. But what do you think about this?
What All Out did last year?
200,000.
And the numbers are not out yet, but they're thinking it did more.
They're thinking it did between 165,000 and 170,000.
Yeah, I think Double or Nothing is gonna be, especially Kenny Omega is supposed to come back. I think Double or Nothing is gonna hit the 2.
You think it's gonna get over 200,000?
Yeah, I'm waiting for that first 250, the first 25.
Oh, on the pay-per-view buy?
I think for real, if they do Double or Nothing correctly, that could be the first one.
I mean, they easily got to be making close to $1 million off these buys.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then we didn't even really factor in the motherfuckers who's actually paying top dollar actually in the show. But you know what though? If
not even counting, like, you know, if they're sold out or not.
I'm like, if I'm going to an AEW pay-per-view, I gotta be on the fucking barricade. If I'm not the first, I gotta be row number 2. I can't be any further away than the second row.
All right.
I'm not gonna feel the same energy. Moving on. Not even that. I can be behind the hard cam. I ain't trying to be on TV. Number 4. Warner Media does not want the Briscoes in AEW. Fans shouldn't expect to see AEW bringing the Briscoes anytime soon due to Warner Media. Fightful Select reported today that AEW didn't have plans to sign the top Ring of Honor tag team before Tony Khan bought the promotion. They had the opportunity once ROH let go of majority of its wrestlers after Final Battle in December. The report states the reason why they weren't going to be used by All Elite Wrestling is due to a person of influence in Warner Media not wanting AEW to sign Jay and Mark Briscoe. The reason for this goes back to the homophobic tweet made by Jay. Story number 5. Mark Henry thinks Tony Nese needs to find an identity. He doesn't jump off the page on the microphone. This story is coming from WrestlingNews.co. During Busted Open Radio, Mark Henry and Bully Ray gave their comments on the in-ring debut of Swerve Strickland and Tony Nese on AEW Rampage. Regarding Tony Nese, Henry said this: I think that Tony Nese is a hell of a talent. I would like to see Tony Nese develop more outside the ring. Tony needs more bells and whistles. He's a guy that doesn't jump off the page on the microphone. He seems like a nice guy. I don't want to just see a nice guy. I want to see an opinionated guy. I want to see a good guy. I want to see a bad guy. I want to see somebody crazy. I want to see somebody sadistic. Who are you going to be? Who is Tony Nese going to be? That's the question that needs to be asked to Tony Nese is, who are you besides one of the best wrestlers in the game today? How many people look like Tony Nese? Not many. He is spectacular looking to the eye. How many people can just work any match, any style with anybody and do it as fluently as Tony Nese? Not many. So what's the problem? The problem is identity. I felt like that too every time I used to see Tony Nese in the cruiserweight division. You just look like a regular guy.
Yeah, I agree. But I know a solution. I totally agree with that. But the solution is, he's the premier athlete, right? Get him the motherfucking gimmick. You ain't gotta be exactly like Rick Rude, but get him a gimmick like that. So, you know, back in the day, ain't nobody had a body like Rick Rude, pause. But ain't nobody had a body like Rick Rude's, for real. So what his gimmick was, he was showing off his body, shitting on everybody else who looked less than him. You do that and put him with a female manager as his mouthpiece. And then the rest, his in-ring work tells his in-ring work. You just had him show off until basically every time he come out to the ring, cut promos and shit, she telling how much better he is than all y'all. And then he just showing off and shit. Just like how his entrance used to be in WWE. He came out, he'll count how many packs he got and shit. Yeah.
He needs more than that. I think he does need a female mouthpiece, but I'm just thinking on the AEW roster, like who would be a good mouthpiece for Tony Nese?
But
and
it would have to be somebody that will actually be like, they got a mouthpiece that can work the mic. But he will also talk too, but he would be the one that would be like downgrading everybody, like downgrading his opponent and shit like that. Like he about to face Darby Allin and he talk about, you know, Darby Allin ain't got this and flexing his muscles and shit. Like he ain't got the biceps and he just flexing and just doing all that. I think that gimmick will work if you put him with a good female side mouthpiece. That's it.
Serena Deeb.
Maybe.
I think that will work because Serena Deeb in this heel run is doing God-sent work right now.
Or they both could be each other's mouthpiece.
That too.
He do for him in his matches, he do for her in her matches.
I mean, you will have the professor of professional wrestling and the premier athlete. I feel like they will mesh and work off each other very well.
Yeah.
Last story of the day, Salamander, and this is, I think, a good one. Swerve Strickland says recent AEW departure opened spot for him. This is coming from WrestlingInc.com. AEW star Shane Swerve Strickland joined the Getting Over Wrestling podcast to talk about his journey to AEW. Strickland detailed what led him to signing with AEW at Revolution. He says this: "My first call was with New Japan, honestly. I was on the phone with Rocky Romero and I talked with Will Ospreay because that's like my little brother to me. He wants me to be over there just as much him. And then like my cousin Will Washington, who helped produce on the Who We Are AEW album, he talked to Tony Khan pretty frequently, and he does a lot of the media scrums as well. So shout out to them guys." So Tony Khan reached out to him because we're family. He's like, "Hey, what can we do about getting him here?" And so that was already the bug in the ear. So I was happy about the interest being already there like that early. But once again, I didn't want to show up there. I'm kind of glad I had that 90 days. I'm really glad it gave me time to really go out, travel, build a team, network, meet other people. Swerve Strickland joined AEW shortly after Cody Rhodes publicly parted ways with AEW. Through Rhodes' future plans remain uncertain. Strickland believes that Rhodes' departure left a window open for other opportunities, including some that Strickland hopes to take advantage of. He says this about the Cody situation: "With the Cody Rhodes situation, with him leaving as well, we're not sure where that's going to go. But him leaving, that opened up a spot where all those business acquisitions that he had, like I don't know if they are doing a lot of those anymore, or they're seeing those out till they're finally finished. But that left a window. So I'm like, that gave me an opportunity. For me to fill that void with all of these crazy other business ventures and all that." Swerve Strickland said a great thing about signing with AEW is the backing it provides for both him and his outside projects. A lot to take in. Swerve Strickland. How much money did Tony Khan save? That's the real question. How much money did he save?
Shit. I don't know. Probably a lot. What do you think they do with him?
With Swerve?
Yes. Is he gonna be a single star, or do you think they try to bring in the rest of Hit Row?
So, if it's me, even though you already have an abundance of heel tag teams, I'm bringing in all of Hit Row. And I'm giving them the exact same gimmick they had in NXT. And then I'm keeping them away from the Bucks until we get to some time around Double or Nothing in about a year or two. And we circle back around to that and we get that going. And that could be the program that takes you all the way until that following year's Revolution. Mm-hmm. Loser never wear high tops. You got to go back to rocking the Asics and the Vans.
Yeah.
But of course, it'll just be an on-screen thing. You can do whatever you want to do when you're, when you're not on camera.
Right.
But the thing is, like, everybody was so captivated when it first jumped off, that even now, if you were to do that in about a year and revisit it, everybody would be just as hyped for it, because there'll always be that sense of realism behind it.
Right. Oh. Anything else you want to input?
Miz TV.
Mm-hmm.
NXT with the new NXT champion Dolph Ziggler. It's probably going to be great. You think
it'll be a challenge for Miz, trying to challenge for the belt?
Nah, but I bet you the Miz will probably be the next person from the main roster to hold the NXT belt.
I can see that too. Honestly, there's like the people they got in the mid card, the upper mid card, who they want to push, but they don't want to take the United States or the Intercontinental title off of them. they gonna send him to NXT to win the title. I'm waiting to see if they gonna try to take the tag titles or the women's title and North American title, or if they're just gonna keep it at the NXT title.
I don't know. I don't want to see a mid-carder come down. See, in that sense, I feel like you, because I don't want to see a mid-carder come down and win a mid-card belt.
They could elevate it though too, because then it would be an NXT star that would take the belt off of them. They'll elevate that North American title.
But that can't be done to the NXT championship.
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like if they use different stars, like Dolph Ziggler, I don't know. Cause I just feel like he accomplished so much. And I just feel like him doing that is going backwards. Now, if it was like somebody like Bobby Roode doing it again, because he only had the United States in tag titles, but he ain't accomplished that main card title yet. So if he did it, something like that, then that'd be cool. Make him a 2-time or whatever, or 3-time. But I just think it just depends on who you use. Dolph Ziggler, I just think he just accomplished too much.
Okay, well now I feel better because now I feel like we come to an understanding.
Yeah, that was my whole argument, that it felt like a back pedal, because he already did too much. Like, even though, like, you know, the Finn Balor's and Seth Rollins had hold that title, Dolph Ziggler was already somebody before we even knew about Seth Rollins. Yeah, already touched the main card title, the World Heavyweight title, before it was a Seth Rollins. So that's what I mean. Like, it's a back pedal and all that stuff. He introduced us to Big E. If it wasn't for Dolph Ziggler, we wouldn't know Big E. We probably wouldn't be no New Day. So he was already a star. So it just seemed like it's like a back pedal if he did that. Now, like a Xavier Woods, if he would have did it, that'd be cool, because he ain't touched that main card title yet. I just think they used the wrong star. That's it.
They'll probably throw the New Day down there. If worst case scenario with Big E, they'll probably throw the New Day down there.
If anything, I don't think Kofi need to step in there, because he's a Grand Slam champion. He don't need to be there. If you're gonna put, like, we keep saying Xavier Woods, I would like to see a good run for Xavier Woods. What would that do? But they get him that run in NXT, he became the NXT champion. Like, you put that title on him, but it's not a title that, cause you ain't gonna have him beat Roman Reigns, you ain't gonna have him beat Brock Lesnar. So whether to put a good title on him that will help elevate the title and him too.
Part of me likes that idea.
Yeah.
But then another part of me is like, we don't. As much as I would love for them to make Xavier Woods the world champion, the WWE champion, Universal champion, that they'll never do that because they don't see him as that. But a good run with Xavier Woods for me is just him winning the United States Intercontinental Championship and being a multi-time Intercontinental United States champion. To me, he's already a Hall of Fame worthy competitor. He's getting in with the New Day. This just solidifies him on the singles side.
All right.
Because it's not like Xavier Woods can't wrestle.
Right.
He's an excellent wrestler. He's a damn good wrestler. He doesn't always have to be with a tag team. Now, if that's what they want to do, send him down to NXT as an Xavier Woods fan, I'm going to be happy. Because you captured a world championship.
All right.
You know, it might not have been the main rosters, but like I've been saying on this podcast, that NXT belt has prestige.
Mm-hmm.
Great wrestlers, main eventers now have held the NXT championship. So it's a good. The belt has prestige. It's, to me, that just wouldn't be the belt that I would want them to hold. But my question for you before we get out of here is: Dolph Ziggler a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I mean, he ain't a Grand Slam champion because he ain't win the WWE title yet.
I think a Grand Slam champion is once you win like one of the world titles.
I thought Grand Slam was both world titles, both mid card titles, and at least one of the tag team.
No, because The Miz is a 2-time Grand Slam champion. And he ain't held the Universal belt once.
Okay, so he is a Grand Slam champion there. If he's not a first ballot, I would say he damn near borderline. But for sure, when he retires, he's getting into the Hall of Fame. I would say that.
So you think he probably get it on the second?
Yeah, but I don't think he'll headline. He'd probably be like that person before the get announced before the headline.
The person,
Like if he get inducted this year with Undertaker, he'd be the person that will do his speech before the Undertaker.
Oh, okay. The cool down for the speech.
Yeah.
For the big one.
Yeah.
That's so befitting Dolph Ziggler and what they think about his.
I mean, because you think about it, if you get that, it's always like the co-headliner and the headliner.
So you think he would be the co-headliner?
Yeah. But I don't think he will be a big enough. I don't think, depending on, as of right now, if he decides to retire today, I don't think he's a big enough. I don't think he did enough or big enough to be the headliner. It depends. Depends on who get inducted that year. But if it's somebody that's like, let's say he retires and they induct him next year, and then they decide to induct Batista. You know, Batista would be the headliner. He'd be the co. If Triple H decided to retire all the way, they induct Triple H. Triple H would be the headliner. So it just depends on who get inducted that year, if he would be the headliner or not. And it really depends on when he finally decided to hang him up, what he had accomplished altogether.
Okay. No, I agree. Everything you said, I agree with. That's it. That's the only question I had.
All right, guys. That's it for today's news. Let us know in the comment section below what you think about today's news. One more time before we head out of here, I'd like to send my condolences to Scott Hall's family. A rest in peace to Scott Hall, a legend, going too soon. But Salamander, KB the Mark, simply with some fucking marks.
I started with nothing and came out a king. I've been the one that's been ballin' for rings. It's been me and my team and we chasing the green. My team be the shit, we ain't ballin' for free. My team be the shit, we ain't ballin' for free.